Anytime people say, oh, I know the ceiling on the price of Bitcoin, they have no idea. It could go anywhere. It's something that you can own as property, and that's where I think we're going. Some percentage will still be traded, but for the big institutions coming in, this is an asset class that is a profit. You know, I'm not a cowboy here. I'm actually allocating capital towards achieving a distributable return of between 6 and 8% a year. And so, you know, we have a lot of volatility in Bitcoin. And right now we're kind of 61% back from the lows, and that's great. But not every crypto asset has to be that volatile. So when you start to build out your portfolio, let's go to USDC, you know, you actually can take that as a relatively stable asset and write contracts on it for 60 days, 30 days, 90 days, and generate 3.5–4% yield, which is what I'm doing right now. And so I look at it as a portfolio approach. Some of these things have volatility, some don't. But you know, the biggest problem, which is holding all of us back in the crypto industry right now, is compliance at the institutional level. You know, you go in and you say, look, everybody's talking about this. All right, I'm running, let's say I'm running $1 billion mandate. That's not uncommon. And I want to put 10% into crypto. You have to be able to find a platform that can link to your internal reporting and your external regulatory. You know, it's not like I got if I'm putting a 10% allocation on $1 billion, that's $100 million. I'm not going to download an app on my phone and put $100 million into it. I'm going to have an institutional compliant platform. And the industry's not there yet, Pomp. It's got a lot of work to do on that front. And the more we move towards that, the more capital is going to be coming in. Yeah, so what changed is exactly what you said, Pomp, the regulatory environment. I work in a very regulated world. I'm an investor in so many different financial services companies that are reporting issuers. And so we don't have the luxury of being offside with regulators, not now, not ever. And in 2017, when we were talking about those epic moments, and it's true because I get those things shoved in my face every day, but I point out that when things change, I change. That's when I took my first Bitcoin Ethereum positions in 2017. Obviously, I've done very well with those. But recently, after the regulators in Switzerland, France, Germany, Australia, England, Japan, Canada, all started to change their stance on crypto, it allowed me to start to allocate to it in a compliant way. And that's really what got me going. Obviously, this is an asset class that's here to stay. It's still going through a very nascent phase. I'll be putting a lot more into it as time changes, and still the regulator's not 100% on board, we all know that, but things are getting better, not just domestically, but internationally. And so I'm an international investor, and in many countries where we're talking about Bitcoin or Ethereum or other assets, other crypto assets, tokens and coins, the regulators opened up. That letter that Larry Fink puts out every quarter that dictates BlackRock's positioning for sustainability, we got to solve for that. We got to get Larry on board for Bitcoin on a sustainability model. And if he's okay with it, because that letter actually sets policy for both, think about the way this works, for sovereign funds, who he's the largest asset manager in the world, and for domestic pension plans, and for universities and everybody else. He started this a few years ago with the sustainability issue, and all of a sudden you saw the market capitalization of hydrocarbons like oil companies start to get crushed. Because if you're an institution, let's say you've got, you know, $5 billion under management of BlackRock, and Larry's telling you, look, we're not investing in hydrocarbon distribution companies anymore, whatever his edict is, they're going to be selling those. And so what we need is you know, I'm calling out for the guy that really sets the standard. It's Larry Fink in that letter, and his ESG committee and the consultants he uses. We got to get them on board. And if he said, look, you want to own Bitcoin? This is how you can own it and still fit the metrics around global sustainability. That's where we're at. Now, I've taken it upon myself, because I'm not ready yet. I want to go there and see his team and say, look, I'm going to bring a bunch of representatives from the mining community. We got to talk. I mean, I want to be an investor in mining. I don't want to be offside on compliance. I don't want to be offside on ESG. I can't. I don't have that option. I can't go against that mandate. So I'd rather get them on board. Anytime people say, oh, I know the ceiling on the price of Bitcoin, they have no idea. It could go anywhere. And it's just because it depends. And here's really what when I talk to institutions, there's a change in philosophy about their thinking on, let's just stay with Bitcoin. Bitcoin used to be considered for many institutions that hadn't owned it yet, the ones that were just looking at it, as a currency. They're not thinking that way anymore. They're looking at it as a property. So you would buy it in the same way as a AAA office tower in Manhattan. You buy an allocation to coin that you're allowed to own, you never trade it. You own it as an asset. You know it's compliant, it checks the box. You own it on your balance sheet, your provenance, and it's something that you can own as property. And that's where I think we're going. Some percentage will still be traded, but for the big institutions coming in, this is an asset class that is a property.